we do need to talk about the teams because
I want to ask you about Tennessee.
Yeah.
Is their offense good enough to compete in the playoff? Like, do we have to ask that? It was kind of rough to watch.
They're going to be able to run all over a lot of teams, but they got to figure it out through the air. And I'm not sure that that's going to happen in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, because both of us, like, I was like banging the Tennessee's going to win drum, and I put my money where my mouth was today. I took them outright today. And
my under hit, but Georgia covered.
I really thought that they were going to be more competitive, and for the most part, they were, right? Like, they were in the game in the fourth quarter. Like, and I guess that's all you can ask for if you're Tennessee on the road playing at Georgia. But I found myself when watching the game knowing in my head that Tennessee wasn't scoring again. Like, when they got to 17, I was like, they're probably not going to score again.
I thought on that really long drive, it was like a 14-play drive that ended in a punt. I thought during that drive, they're going to score here. They're going to take the lead briefly. I think it was 17-all at that point, that they would take the lead. But then Georgia, the way they were moving the ball, would just storm back down the field and retake it. Like, Carson Beck was as good as we have seen him play, not just this year, but last year as well, when he had better receivers. The line for Georgia was outstanding. Like, this is a really good Tennessee defense, and they made them look normal. Remember, Tennessee hadn't given up more than 20 all year. Like, this was an incredible performance by Georgia's offense.
Yeah. And I didn't think that they were even capable of that with their personnel. And Dominic Lovett had a great game. Carson Beck had his best game.
Carson Beck on the ground, the one scramble in the first half and then the touchdown run in the second. Like, I don't think Tennessee had that on the scouting report.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, like, I don't know that I'm in love with Tennessee at the moment because of the offense. And it's like something that's been percolating for 2 months. And you thought maybe they would turn it on. I actually thought how many times did Nico overthrow deep shots today? Was it 2 or 3? They had some guys open downfield.
I think the committee's just going to have to decide who they think can do better in the playoff. And, like, I'll give you an example. If you're deciding between Ole Miss and Tennessee, I think most people right now are going to pick Ole Miss. Now, that may change in the next 2 weeks. But right now, I think if it came down to those two for the last at-large spot, I think you'd pick Ole Miss right now.
I'm telling you right now, it's not coming down to 2 SEC teams for the last spot.
Okay.
The SEC is going to be decided first, and then it's going to come down to them in Indiana if they lose to Ohio State next week. I'm telling you right now. Like, I know everybody. There's a lot of people on the Indiana at 11-1 is in no matter what train, and I'm like, that train is not a gravy train. It might make it to its destination, but it can go off the rails real quick. Am I wrong, Andy? Like, save me. Like, am I wrong to be concerned about that?
No, you're not wrong to be concerned about it. But I think they're getting in at 11-1 as long as they don't get blown out next week. As long as they're competitive in this game.
If Tennessee wins in their next 2 games, doesn't play in the SEC championship, and that team is compared head-to-head with Indiana, who loses by 14 or 13 to Ohio State on the road, and they have a win over Alabama in their pocket, you really, really 100% feel comfortable with Indiana going in over that team?
No.
Okay.
But I think there's a good chance.
I think it's a 50-50 proposition at best.
That's fine. That's 50-50 is about all you can hope for at this point. Tennessee does have a win against Alabama. At that point, Indiana would have no wins against playoff teams.
Mm-hmm.
If you got a win against a playoff team, that is a lot better than no wins against playoff teams, even if you have more losses.
You know, there weren't very many shocking upsets today. Actually thought it was a pretty chalk day, right? Like, we were talking for the first few windows that it wasn't the most jam-packed windows of games that we've watched. So let's just go SEC heavy for the time being, because this is the team, the conference.
Well, no, we need to talk about the number 1 team in the country struggling.
Sure. We're going to.
Because we barely ever talk about Oregon because they just blow through everybody. So we're
definitely going to talk about Oregon, but I wanted to ask one last question, and I don't even remember.
One more question, then we're moving to the Big Ten. We'll come back to the SEC.
How about one more take?
Okay.
I don't think Texas is going to win the SEC, and we can just leave it at that. And I think that when that happens,
I don't think that's a saucy take at all.
But if they make the SEC championship game and lose, then we're all in a blender together. Because then they go down into that, and then you might have a 2-loss Texas team going up against Indiana, which would give Indiana a better chance to get in, I think. So
one of these other SEC teams that has 2 losses suffers a 3rd loss in the SEC championship game. And this is the Greg Sankey goes crazy scenario. If the SEC championship game loser is punished for its loss in the SEC championship game by getting left out of the playoff,
you're going to call dibs on that column right now. You can have it if you want.
You're going to watch Greg Sankey burn it down. You will watch him burn it down.
Because it's going to be very contentious because the ACC loser is going to be punished. Mm-hmm. So when the ACC loser is punished, then the SEC loser should probably also, like, here's my take on that. If we're punishing conference championship losers or we're rewarding them, and I don't care which way we go with it, but we're going the same way with everybody.
I'm telling you right now, though, that the ACC and the Big 12 have no power. They can get as mad as they want. They can't actually do anything. If the Big 12 and the SEC get mad, they will change the playoff. They will just change how it works. I'm telling you right now. This year and next year will be the only years like this.
It's going to infuriate me if we get to the end of the year and there are different rules for different places.
Well, guess what? There are different rules to the SEC and the Big 10 because if they don't like the way things are going, they will just make new rules.
I'm just saying, as a consumer of the sport, I would be annoyed by that.
I'm sure you will, but yeah. I'm a common sense person who believes in the golden rule. He who has the gold makes the rules. So I'm telling you right now, if the Big 10 and the SEC are not happy with the way this works out, they will just change it.